Good evening. We begin with developing news from Mississauga. A person is dead after being struck by a GO train late this afternoon.
It happened near Lakeshore and Cawthra in a residential neighborhood. CTV's John Musselman is live near the scene tonight. John, what do we know so far?
Well, Andrew, we're just waiting for an update from Peel Regional Police, which will happen any minute now. Our information is the pedestrian was hit in the scene behind me here at Alexandra Avenue and 4th Street in Mississauga. This happened at about 2:45 this afternoon. Now, the line was shut down in this area, and it forced a lot of commuters to take shuttle buses between the area around this where this happened. What we're waiting to hear from police is who was involved, who the victim was here, and how this may have happened. The scene has been sealed off for quite a while. The body of the victim was removed just a short time ago. We're just waiting for an update from Peel Regional Police to start. Once we get that, hopefully we'll get some answers about what happened here this afternoon and who the victim was.
Involving a train at the crossing you see behind me. On arrival, emergency response and first responders located a child, a young boy, 12 to 13 years of age, who had been struck by a westbound GO train, and sadly he's been pronounced deceased. Before I open it up to any questions, on behalf of the PRP team and everybody working this, we want to extend our condolences to the family in what's a very tragic situation, and our thoughts are, of course, with the conductor of this train. And I'll take some questions at this point. Just understand that some information is limited at this point.
Do we know why he was on the track or something, maybe on a bike?
Yes, thank you for that. There is information to support that he and another young child were on some sort of a motorized bike in the area. There were two people present. He was riding, whether it be a pocket bike, gas or electric powered, I'm not really certain at the time of the collision.
Were they with an adult?
No, at this point, it doesn't believe that they were with an adult, and I'll just say all indications at this point are that the traffic signal that you see behind me were functioning and in working order with the arms down, lights flashing, and audible tone as well. I'll just reiterate, this is a absolutely horrible situation for the family involved, and it would be remiss of me not to remind motorists in the area, especially during this time of March break. There's a lot more kids out and about. To be mindful of your surroundings, and I certainly don't want to pass on any blame towards the young man here. And when I was his age, I was out on a dirt bike myself, and you should be able to go out and have fun. But this is a time, unfortunately, to remind our kids that when they're on these bikes, to really mind the crossings, particularly at railway passings here.
Any indication like what led up to them? Like, did they get stuck? Like what?
All of the information at this point, and understand that it's preliminary and subject to change, but everything that we have to us at this point is that the child went around the barrier and was struck by the train.
Do you have any information on the child?
Nothing that I can share, just out of respect for the family right now, but the investigation portion of the collision involving the train is going to be conducted by Metrolinx. Peel Police, of course, is going to support the scene and offer any resources as required. Our 12 Division Criminal Investigations Bureau will be conducting the investigation into the death proponent of this case, and of course the coroner's office as well. Thank you.
All right, police giving an update on a child being hit by a GO train earlier today in Mississauga. They say the child went around a barrier and was struck. Sad news. Again, this was in Mississauga. Our John Musselman is there, and we might give you more details later today, if not online, at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Turning now to developments in a home invasion in Vaughan. Police have now charged the suspect who was shot by the homeowner.
Meanwhile, investigators are still searching for 3 other suspects in connection with the case, which prompted reaction from multiple levels of government. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been following the story and joins us live with more details. Beth.
Nathan, there's a lot of reaction to this home invasion. Some neighbors are considering starting a community watch, tightening security, even arming themselves. And tonight, the Premier is congratulating the homeowner. Shortly before 1 in the morning Tuesday, 3 suspects forced their way into the Vaughan home. You can see the man in the middle visibly holding a gun, the last to enter also possibly concealing a weapon. But they don't stay inside for long. Police say the homeowner picks up a legally owned firearm and shoots, causing them to take off. The act of self-defense generating swift reaction from Premier Doug Ford and others.
I'm glad you shot the guy. Teach us the rest of these robbers. Congratulations for shooting this guy. Should have shot him a couple more times as far as I'm concerned.
The NDP is calling Ford's comments irresponsible, with the mayor of Vaughan, Stephen Del Duca, writing on X, "No one should ever be put in that position, and I'm thankful that the homeowner has not been charged, as this was an act of self-defense." Officers say the homeowner and another resident weren't hurt, but why this home near Dufferin Street and Rutherford Road was targeted remains unclear.
They pulled up to this house for a reason, but that being said, without having all three of them, all four of them in custody, we don't know what the motive is behind this, and that is something we are still exploring.
Police say a few hours after the invasion, an injured man turned up at a hospital where investigators determined he had been shot by the homeowner. Now in stable condition, he's been arrested and charged for robbery with a firearm, identified by police as Treston Casanova Ullman. Officers say the 24-year-old has been wanted for months for offenses with a violent criminal group they allege is responsible for robberies and shootings implicating hundreds of victims.
He was out on a probation order, and so that's a cause for concern.
This is the third home invasion in the Vaughan area this year. In January, near King and Mill Roads, a homeowner was threatened with a firearm, then hid with family. In February, a suspect stole jewelry and cash before crashing on the ramp to the 400. Neighbors near this recent invasion are feeling nervous and unsafe.
A lot of people here have kids, and I can't imagine my daughter going out, she's walking out the dog with, with all the shooting happening here. People are thinking individually, owning their own guns, and it's not something we want to do, but that's the situation.
Police say Section 34 of the Criminal Code allows for self-defense, but remind homeowners each scenario is different and judged on its own merit. Police are still looking for 3 suspects. Officers say they took off in a black pickup truck, the one you saw in the security footage. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan and Andrea, back to you.
Thanks, Beth. More news in a moment. First, here's a live look at the forecast, or a live look outside at the city. Some flurries today, as you saw Beth there as she was talking. A few landed on her hat, but at least the temperatures are rising. Lindsay Morrison joins us now, and Lindsay really couldn't complain about the day today.
I'd say this was an improvement of a day, Andrea, compared to the last couple of days. Not nearly as cold, not as windy, but yes, as mentioned, we do have some flurries flying out there. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you can see west end of the GTA being more impacted than, say, downtown or the east end right now, but that will change as the evening goes on. We are at -2 degrees at Pearson Airport. It feels like -8. Winds out of the south today. They are still a little breezy. Here's your evening skate forecast in case you're hoping to head out for the early part of the evening. It's overnight tonight that our temperature is going to hold steady at about -2 degrees, but we introduce the risk of freezing drizzle. We do have some mild temperatures in the coming days. We'll talk all about that just ahead. But for now, Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Jennifer Pan has pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the death of her mother in 2010. In 2015, Pan was convicted of first-degree murder and attempted murder in an attack which killed her mother and seriously injured her father. However, the first-degree murder conviction was overturned because the jury had not been properly instructed by the judge, who had suggested there were only 2 scenarios for the attack. Pan has been sentenced to life in prison for manslaughter, in a sentence that runs concurrently with her sentence for attempted murder. Questions are being raised about the integrity of an OPP probe that cleared 3 Toronto police officers accused of collusion in the murder trial of Umar Zamir.
The results of the probe were released yesterday. Today, some are calling for a provincial inquiry into the matter. CTV's Alison Hurst reports.
This video was played in the trial showing the moment Constable Jeffrey Northrup was struck and killed in 2021. It's a moment that's been under scrutiny for nearly 2 years as the OPP probed into the differences between what the Crown and defense experts presented at trial and testimony from 3 officers. Following an accusation by Ontario Superior Court Justice Anne Malloy, the officers may have lied.
It cleared the police officers, and maybe the judge should apologize for accusing them of everything under the sun.
An apology is what the Toronto Police Association is calling for. The report released yesterday says the OPP investigative review has concluded that the opinions expressed by the trial judge regarding alleged dishonesty and collusion among Detective Constables Forbes, Pace and Correa are not supported by the evidence.
She's obviously relieved and elated at the complete vindication.
David Butt is Lisa Forbes' lawyer, who says she's not thinking about recourse now, but nothing is ruled out. Mayor Olivia Chow was asked about this at a news conference this afternoon.
I do believe in the justice system and the Canadian courts, and I thank the OPP for the report. And I hope all parties can move forward.
Still, many are quick to point out the OPP presented a third theory about how Northrop was struck that contradicts the Toronto Police's own reconstructionists' conclusion.
Our traffic services has been doing a number of things to assist in re-envisioning again how we do traffic reconstruction.
Many defense lawyers warn it's too soon to call this vindication when the OPP's report has not been tested in court.
Everything that happened with respect to this report was behind closed doors. None of those witnesses, whoever they were cross-examined.
At the trial, two of these officers claimed that he bounced off the hood of the car, while one said he flew backwards. And that hasn't been reconciled, for example, in this report.
This lawyer wants the province to open an inquiry.
I'm hopeful that the Ontario government steps up and that there's an independent inquiry with the right stakeholders involved and the right impartiality and lack of bias to allow it to have the validity that we as members of this province and this city deserve.
According to Toronto Police, during the OPP investigation, those 3 officers were moved to non-operational roles and remained at work the entire time. Now, based on the findings in that report, they can return to operational duties. We have reached out to Justice Malloy, but have not heard back. Alison Hurst, CTV News.
To Queen's Park next, where statues on the grounds of the legislature will soon be covered in protective wrapping.
It comes after a monument of George Brown was defaced during a protest earlier this month. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight on the lawn of the legislature with more on why this is being done now. Siobhan.
Well, we are expecting a huge rally here next week. On Tuesday, thousands of students angry about changes to OSAP, and this is being done as a preventative measure. The grounds of Queen's Park are home to monuments to all kinds of figures of history. Former prime ministers, longtime premiers, lieutenant governors, and fathers of Confederation. This statue of George Brown was badly damaged earlier this month. Graffiti filled with expletives directed at the premier, not entirely scrubbed away. Whatever was used was stubborn.
And so the cost was a little bit more, and it took a little bit longer than normal. It was in excess of $5,000, and that's public taxpayer money.
The vandalism came at the tail end of a student protest against changes to OSAP. The same group is planning an even bigger demonstration next week, just after MPPs return to the legislature.
So we're taking preemptive measures to prevent any damage to any graffiti on our statues on the grounds. We're going to wrap them temporarily.
That was the advice of the Sergeant-at-Arms in charge of keeping Queen's Park safe. The Speaker and the Premier say they're not trying to deter demonstrators.
Anyone who wants to protest, you come to Queen's Park, do cartwheels, jump up and down, whatever you want to do not vandalize. Do not vandalize those statues. They're historic. And if you do, you're going to get charged.
One person was charged with defacing the George Brown statue at the last protest. A second charged with assault for allegedly spitting on a police officer. One of the organizers of that rally believes that police went too far and sees steps to wrap monuments as repressive.
Students have every right to protest and to take on a multitude of forms of protest, and it feels like a measure taken to sort of, protect the space and protect capital as opposed to, allowing for dissent.
The leader of the opposition says students worried about graduating deep in debt are right to be angry.
The government could solve this problem by coming out and actually reversing the OSAP cuts. We wouldn't have a rally next week. I won't have to introduce a motion to get them to reverse the OSAP cuts.
And Balaja says no one from the government's been willing to talk. So on Tuesday,
we're excited to be louder, we're excited to be bigger, and we're excited to be better.
The students! Hoping politicians will be forced to hear them. Well, one of the things on the grounds that will not be wrapped up is the Veterans Memorial behind me. The Speaker's office does say that there will be guards watching over that site to make sure no damage is done. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Andrea, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Toronto's Quds committee filed a cease and desist order against the Premier over what they say are defamatory statements made on social media. The committee pointed to remarks made by the Premier on March 13th, a day before the Quds Day rally, in which he described the event as a breeding ground for hate and anti-Semitism. They've also singled out remarks that he made March 14th after a judge had denied an injunction against the event. The committee released a list of demands which call on the Premier to do the following: remove the defamatory video and posts from all print and social media, cease and desist from publishing defamatory remarks, and issue an immediate retraction and a formal apology. In a statement, the Premier's office says they will not remove the social media post or retract their comments, going on to call the rally an event that's long been a venue for anti-Semitism, hatred, intimidation, and the glorification of terrorism.
A Canadian man accused in a pair of high-profile murders has been arrested after nearly a decade on the run. Police in Hamilton say Daniel Tomasetti is in custody in Mexico, and they're working to bring him back to Canada. He is wanted in the killings of Angelo Musitano, a member of the notorious crime family, and Mila Barberi, a woman police say was not the intended target. Two other men were accused in the killings. One was arrested in 2018. The other was found dead in Mexico 2 years later. In the wake of a mass shooting in Lawrence Heights last year, community members called for safety changes on their streets.
Among them, a physical space for neighborhood officers to interact with residents. Fast forward 9 months, and the brand new hub opened today. CTV's Natalie Johnson has the story.
On a warm night last June, gunfire erupted in Lawrence Heights. Multiple rounds fired at a group outside an apartment complex, injuring 6 and killing a 31-year-old man in a wheelchair.
Where gun violence is prevalent, we need to kind of reframe how we look at our community instead of homicides and the individuals that we've lost.
2, 1. Today, as part of that push, Lawrence Heights residents joined police in cutting the ribbon on a new community safety hub to embed officers in the neighborhood.
Especially in areas where we have seen incidents of gun violence, we know the police presence matters.
This hub will serve as a home base for neighborhood community officers who will be able to meet with residents in this space and work on crime prevention initiatives.
Preventing things from happening by people getting to know the local police and having a coffee with them. You know, it's a meeting place for the police in the community, beyond just when something bad happens.
A place for residents to get to know officers by name and build trust at the local level.
How do you build a community? You build a community when you build relationships, when you trust each other, when you can talk to each other. That's most important.
1, 2. Part of a commitment to residents to deter violence and enhance security on their streets.
It's not very safe, I guess. So now that they're having this in here, we're very, very happy. We're ecstatic about this. Believe you me.
Strengthening police presence and community connection. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
Oil prices jumped again today as the U.S. and Israel continued their missile attacks on Iran.
CTV's Heather Wright is in Dubai with the latest developments.
Overnight, Iran retaliated for the killing of its security chief, firing cluster warheads at central Israel, payloads that are harder to intercept as they disperse midair. Israeli officials say the attack killed 2 people and caused damage in multiple areas. Dubai was also attacked overnight and this morning, with alarms going off throughout the city. Officials here say the drones and missiles were all successfully intercepted. Speaking to British lawmakers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says more than 200 military experts from Ukraine have been sent to the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, sharing their expertise in fighting a drone war, something Ukraine has pioneered during its 4-year fight with Russia.
We do not want this terror of the Iranian regime against its neighbors to succeed.
The United States and Israel continued their campaign against Iran today. U.S. Central Command says it dropped bunker-busting bombs on Iranian sites near the Strait of Hormuz, while oil sites linked to Iran were reportedly hit by Israel. Iran also confirmed its intelligence minister was killed. The regime has vowed to respond by attacking energy sites in the Gulf, warning people to stay away from facilities in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. It's all leading to rising oil prices and uncertainty to how this conflict ends.
It's important to point out that once a war starts, you really can't control the direction it's going to go in.
Retired Major General Dennis Thompson says over the past 2.5 weeks, there has been a steady escalation of this conflict, which he believes has not reached its peak. He says the U.S. could still choose to hit Karg Island, where 90% of Iran's oil exports are shipped from, while Iran could go after desalination plants in the Gulf, cutting off a key source of fresh water.
I'm not convinced that there is a military solution to this, and they have to go the diplomatic route. If you keep killing the Iranian leadership, who are you going to negotiate with?
While Iran has allowed a few ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, the shipping route effectively remains closed. The UAE has said it is open to joining a U.S.-led effort to reopen the strait, but at this point, there is still no plan in place. Heather Wright, CTV News, Dubai.
The U.S. president's top intelligence officials testified publicly today for the first time since the U.S. and Israel launched missile strikes in Iran.
Lawmakers demanded to know how the war in Iran was justified. Here's CTV's Joy Malbin in Washington.
Arriving in Dover for a dignified transfer, President Donald Trump honoring 6 service members killed in a refueling air crash as the U.S. military took new action in Iran, dropping multiple 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs targeting Iranian ammunition storage sites. As global oil prices skyrocket, Trump is determined to get the oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, with or without support from U.S. allies.
We don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually.
The president's top intelligence officials grilled on Capitol Hill over what evidence justified attacking Iran now.
Did you brief the president, if he starts a war of choice, that the likely result would be that Iran would strike adjacent Gulf nations and close the Strait of Hormuz?
I have not and won't divulge internal conversations.
Democrats are clearly frustrated, asked if the president's strikes on Iran's nuclear sites in June obliterated the nuclear program. Why go to war now?
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide.
Trump's intelligence director says it's not her job to determine what is an imminent threat to the homeland, as her chief of staff, Joe Kent, just resigned in protest, suggesting President Trump was duped into war, blaming Israel. And with Marines on the way to the Middle East, President Trump has yet to make a decision on sending U.S. forces into Iran to seize the country's remaining nuclear material. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
The war in Iran is already having an impact on the global economy.
Today, the Bank of Canada warned inflation is rising. CTV's Andy Bergeron-Oliver has more.
It didn't take long for the war in Iran to boost the price at the pumps and kickstart an energy-driven consumer squeeze the Bank of Canada says is fueling inflation.
The issue for us is not really the immediate increase in inflation. We know that's going to happen. It's does that start to get generalized, start to spread, start to look more persistent?
The bank says it will work to make sure that doesn't happen, but warns the longer the war goes on, the wider the impacts on the economy that right now is weaker than the bank projected. Growth is slower, the job market is soft, and exports are lower than expected.
Normally, I think people would be thinking, well, you know, Canada needs some interest rate relief here. But once Mr. Trump started firing guns off in the Middle East, we knew that wasn't going to happen.
For now, the bank says the economy is being tugged in different directions by rising inflation and slowing growth. So it's taking a wait-and-see approach and holding steady at 2.25%.
Economic weakness combined with rising inflation is a dilemma for central banks. Increasing interest rates to slow inflation could further weaken the economy.
Economists say that decision makes sense, but they also warn global uncertainty will likely hurt consumers.
There's a lot of anxiety that's building about the anticipated inflation, and retailers are already going to be hiking their prices as they expect their costs to increase as these higher energy prices work their way through the supply chain.
The bank says it will be keeping a close eye not only on the war in Iran, but on the impact tariffs and U.S. trade are having on the Canadian economy. And if necessary, Tiff Macklem says the bank will act. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
A teenager from Cambridge faces life in a Hong Kong prison after being duped by a job posting for an international courier, which led to her smuggling cocaine. A W5 investigation next.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, if you're traveling over the March break or have a trip coming up, make sure your documents are in order. A man was shocked when a mistake on his plane ticket led to a cancellation, and he had to pay $11,000 for a new seat. That story is just ahead.
Well, after a couple of cold and very windy days, our temperature is set to rise going forward, but there is a bit of a cost. We could be in for some messy weather, a little bit of mixed precip or snow or rain, depending on where you're joining us from. We'll talk about the forecast heading into Friday and the weekend coming up.
If you're planning a flight, you have to be extremely careful that information is entered correctly, or it can lead to problems at the airport.
A passenger noticed a minor mistake on his plane ticket. He was told by the airline shouldn't be a problem and was shocked when it was. Pat Foran has the story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Andrea and Nathan. A man planned a dream trip to Thailand, but after buying his ticket, he noticed there was no space between his middle name and his last name. He was told the typo wouldn't cause any problems, but it did, and forced him to buy a new ticket for more than $11,000. Brandon Bowman of Milton traveled to Thailand in January for almost 3 weeks and says the vacation was one of the best adventures of his life. But it came with some stress. In November, when he booked his tickets with Air Canada, he noticed there was a space missing between his last name, Bowman, and his middle name, Rodriguez.
My last name and my middle name were joined. I called them. Their employee said it should be fine.
The return ticket to Thailand cost him almost $5,000. 2 days before his flight, he thought he should check in to make sure everything was okay. That's when he got a different answer from a different person.
The next employee I got, the lady said that it's not fine. We have to cancel everything. And it jumped about $6,000 in price extra.
His name was corrected on the new ticket. He was flying business class, and on short notice, the new price required to board was now over $11,000. He felt he had to go through with the trip as he had planned it for months and prepaid for many tours and outings.
Because I couldn't cancel the flight, I booked the time off from work. I did flights within the country I was going to and excursions and hotels.
Bowman enjoyed his vacation, but when he got home, he felt he should be compensated since he did check with Air Canada if his ticket would be valid with the missing space. When CTV News reached out to the airline, it said passengers should always check the booking confirmation immediately after they purchase a ticket to be sure all information is correct, including the itinerary, travel dates, and name spellings. But Air Canada added, the customer should have been advised more clearly about his options during the initial call, which would have remedied this situation. So we have refunded the difference. Air Canada just returned over $6,000 to Bowman, which was great news for him.
Thank you, CTV, and thank you, Pat Foran, for being behind my back for this. I'm so happy I got the money back. Thank you so much.
And if you notice a typo on your plane ticket, it can usually be corrected for free if you contact the airline within 24 hours. A minor mistake might be allowed for a domestic flight, but for international trips where security is stricter, you could be stranded if your documents don't match. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, spring starts this week, but it doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't. Some days it feels like summer, and then it feels like the dead of winter. So hopefully we've gone over that hump. Yeah. And I don't mean the snowbank hump, I mean the hump.
There's been a couple of extremes in recent days and weeks, but We're headed in the right direction as this week continues. I think you're going to like the temperatures that are in store. Today was a little more comfortable for spending some time outside, and I think a few families did to make the most of March break. I was outside earlier today, too, at Bruce's Mill. This is in the Stouffville area, where they have their Sugar Bush Maple Syrup Festival underway. This is a place where you can learn how maple syrup is made and maybe taste it for yourself. Did you know there's a bit of a sweet spot when it comes to getting the sap flowing in the trees? Take a listen.
So as spring starts to warm up, the trees like to have it kind of a bit warmer in the daytime, so above 3 degrees, and then at night just dropping down to -3. There's different stations. I learn about the history of maple syrup. I get to tap a tree and then have our tasting as well. There's also live entertainment every single day, and we have our horse-drawn wagon, and there's pancakes as well.
So there you go, something you can do with the kids if you're looking to make the most of March break as well. And some good news, our temperatures are going to become a little closer to what the trees, the maple trees, like at this time of year. Daytime highs above freezing, overnight lows slightly below. We are below the freezing mark at this hour. It's -2 degrees at Pearson Airport, feeling like -8. Today, though, we were a little closer to seasonal. We should be reaching highs of about +5 this time of year. Nowhere near our record high for today or our record low, so at least there's that. And the winds were calmer today compared to the last couple of days as well, also coming from the south. Now, we don't expect our temperature to drop all that much from here. We're pretty much as cool as it's going to get. And then check out tomorrow. Forecast daytime high 7 degrees. So suddenly now we're on the warm side of seasonal. And because it's going to be so mild, when it comes to any precip types tomorrow, it looks as though you have a better chance of seeing some light rain showers across southwestern Ontario, perhaps a bit of mixing or both in and around the Golden Horseshoe, and better chance of seeing flurries the further north you go. We're getting flurries right now. I'm going to widen out the satellite and radar to show you this trough swinging through. This should not amount to much in the way of accumulation, but you'll notice the flurries if you're venturing out as we progress through the rest of the evening. So a couple of disturbances to watch here. We've got one for Friday. Here it comes. Next one is going to develop behind that and impact us as we move through the second half of the weekend. Let's talk about what you need to know in the short term, though. There's the chance of flurries, risk of freezing drizzle into tomorrow as well. Should get some clearing by late in the day tomorrow, hopefully some sun. Then we cloud back over for Friday. There's our chance of mixing rain to the southwest, maybe 5 to 10 centimeters of snow for parts of cottage country on Friday, so just a heads up there. But the 7-day forecast shows further warmth into the weekend. Saturday's looking pretty good at this point. And then Sunday, we're going to watch for showers, but look at that sharp drop in temperature as we move into the nighttime hours. It's going to be a little chilly again for the kids heading back to school on Monday. That's the weather for now. Andrea, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, a hands-on lesson for high school students at Mount Sinai Hospital. Kids are introduced to orthopedic surgery and get a possible foot in the door of a career future. Welcome back. They're just in high school now, but Mount Sinai Hospital today was playing host to the Surgeons of Tomorrow.
As our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, the event was focused on reaching students who come from underrepresented communities.
Has anyone ever broken a bone in their leg?
About 35 high school students got some hands-on practice at Mount Sinai Hospital.
The goal here is to give them exposure to what it's like to be an orthopedic surgeon, get them some hands-on exposure and experience with surgical skills.
Dr. Ansar Daoud is an orthopedic resident with the University of Toronto.
At Toronto Orthopedics here, we firmly believe that talent is everywhere, but the opportunity is not.
It's really important that our specialty remains diverse so that it can serve the population. And so, we have lots of evidence that a diverse specialty results in improved patient outcomes.
Around like this? Exactly.
A lot of orthopedic surgery involves management of fractures, and a lot of these are managed just with a cast, and so the students are learning to put casts on. Some fractures are managed with insertion of plates and screws.
Some tried their hand at sutures.
Loop it once, grab the tail. As well as arthroscopy, where you put cameras into different parts of the body and do surgery that way.
What we're doing is we have practically like an incision, and what we're doing is we have a camera and we have some kind of grasper, and we're placing blocks into different type of
holes. Personally, I think that kind of experience can really be transformative at such an early age.
I was trying to explore like orthopedic surgery because I kind of want to like go into it, but like after this, I don't know. I was better at that one.
I'm really impressed that, I wish I had something like this when I was at their stage.
And while no one knows what the future holds, it's been an eye-opening experience for these teens.
It was perfect. I said future surgeon.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Yep, that's right.
It's the first major Canadian exhibition of the works of Jeff Wall, the internationally renowned photographer, in over 25 years.
The photos taken between 1984 and 2023 are being displayed on all 3 floors of the Museum of Contemporary Art. CTV's Jessica Smith has a preview.
Picture's really about gravity. It's about the constant presence of gravity. And he is really just an element in the gravitational situation.
52 photos, 3 floors, and over 4 decades of moments frozen in time in the Jeff Wall Photographs 1984 to 2023 photo exhibition.
When you stand back and you look at his career, you can see the themes or connections between the photographs.
The work of Jeff Wall, famed Canadian photographer, is on display at the Museum of Contemporary Art for the first time in Toronto in almost 35 years.
Jeff is one of the most celebrated artists working today, one of the most influential. And I say that because he has profoundly changed the medium of photography with his photographs.
The vast collection taking over the entire museum.
I think that it's extremely beneficial for anybody who likes the arts to be able to experience something like this within one place, one time.
Some of the photos are larger than life, designed to make you feel like you could step into the scenes depicted.
I think it's kind of rare to be able to see an artist's work in its intended size and format, especially so many of them, because these are obviously very large works, and the transparencies, I guess you don't see them all the time.
Each image inviting you in to interpret the storyline.
I mean, with this one, it's just like, all right, there's some people out in the forest, like cooking breakfast or something, but then, it doesn't take long before there's something wrong with this, but you can never work out the story.
Highlighting familiar scenes from around Canada and beyond. This is one of the largest exhibitions the museum has ever produced. Jeff Wall Photographs 1984 to 2023 will be here at the Museum of Contemporary Art until March 22nd. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
After the break, not quite a slam dunk, but very close. The WNBA reaches a tentative deal with its players, avoiding a possible delay to the inaugural season for the Toronto Tempo. In business, the price of oil is rising again now that Iran is hitting the energy infrastructure of its neighbors. BNN Bloomberg's Mirella Fernandez has more.
Iran struck a major natural gas facility today in Qatar, which spiked the price of oil again. The state-owned refinery took a hit and extensive damage is reported. This deepens the Middle East crisis, which most had hoped would end with a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. But if major outputs are crippled, recovery will take longer. The U.S. Federal Reserve Chair says it is too soon to know what the full effect of the conflict in Iran could be on the economy. It held its lending rate today between 3.5 and 3.75%. The central bank still forecasts 1 rate cut for 2026 and 1 for 2027. The rising cost of fuel could be positive for Couche-Tard. The Quebec-based company reported its net earnings were up 18% in its latest quarter, helped by acquisitions. Couche-Tard owns more than 17,000 convenience stores in 30 countries around the world, but most of its revenue comes from its gas stations. Here are the closing numbers for the day. Canadian dollar is down to 72.86. West Texas Intermediate is up over $2 to 98.44. Western Canadian Select is up to 77.85, and the TSX lost over 600 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Mirella Fernandez.
It looks like the Toronto Tempo's first WNBA season will tip off on time after the league and its players reached an agreement in principle, avoiding a possible labor stoppage. The WNBA and its players' union reached a deal early this morning after months of contentious negotiations. Specifics still need to be finalized and ratified by players, but the agreement is expected to greatly increase player salaries. Teams now have just 2 months to prepare for the season, and an expansion draft is still needed for the Tempo, Canada's first WNBA franchise to build a roster. A W5 exclusive investigation has uncovered an international crime syndicate luring Canadians, including teens, into becoming drug traffickers.
4 have been arrested in Hong Kong in just 4 months. W5's Avery Haynes has more on the network behind the cocaine-filled suitcases.
19-year-old Jade from Cambridge, Ontario, faces life in a Hong Kong prison after customs agents found this inside her suitcase, 25 kilos of cocaine.
It knocks the breath out of you because this is your child.
Jade's mom, Nadiria, and dad, Gary, say their daughter was duped after answering a job posting for an international courier on Instagram.
She was excited, and I dealt with this guilt as a dad, why I didn't probe, why I didn't ask.
Our investigation reveals that Jade is one of 4 Canadians recently caught in Hong Kong with cocaine suitcases, a total of 100 kilos between them.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Prison chaplain Father John Wotherspoon is an internationally renowned advocate for drug mules in Hong Kong.
If we know of 4, there's probably maybe another dozen or so that we don't know about.
I traveled to Hong Kong with Jade's mother and visited each of the Canadians behind bars. I'm allowed just 15 minutes and can only take in scraps of paper and a pen.
There are some striking similarities in their stories, including the fact that they all gave the same name for the person who's working above their Canadian recruiter. Well, it's not really a name, it's punctuation, a period. He goes by Dot.
The DOT network is specifically targeting young people in the Kitchener and Waterloo area, where both 19-year-old Jade and another imprisoned Canadian, 20-year-old Omar, live.
I heard stories and seen photos of people that said they have done it.
We're hiding their identity and calling them Lee, a person who claims to know dozens of young people who've made deliveries to Hong Kong.
So you believe that they're still sending people to Hong Kong?
I don't believe it, like I know it.
Lee was about to make a delivery, but it fell apart, triggering a flurry of threatening, encrypted messages from Dot.
He's like, you, like, f***ing kid, f***ing my shit up. Dot was also threatening to kill me, threatening to shoot up my house.
We are aware of a trend of some people being recruited through social media to transport drugs to other countries.
Waterloo Regional Police Staff Sergeant Ian Young heads up the drug squad and hopes this message will stop another cocaine suitcase from taking flight.
An opportunity that may seem like a golden opportunity may not necessarily be that. They're preying on people's innocence and trust.
Police say their investigation is a high priority case and involves the RCMP and Canada Customs.
Just ahead, a competition on ice grounded in culture, a place where First Nations kids from all across Ontario compete, come together, and celebrate pride. That's coming up.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Finally tonight, it's a chance for First Nations communities from across the province to come together on the ice.
CTV Sean Leathon takes us to the Little Native Hockey League.
There are tiny players.
We're going to get the puck and score.
All the way to the biggest, with fans packing the arena. It's called the Little Native Hockey League, but words used to describe this event are anything but little.
It's grounded in culture. It brings all our communities together. Pride of your people, who you are, where you come from.
We have a place where First Nation kids can call their own tournament.
The LNHL brings teams from First Nations from all across Ontario. Over 270 teams in 10 arenas come to Markham for this 4-day tournament. Gerard Pelche is an organizer and a former professional player who took part in the first LNHL as a kid back in 1971.
And it was really nice to represent my First Nations at the time. I remember that. I am playing for Wiki.
Wiki, or Wikwemekong First Nation on Manitoulin Island, has a team skating in yellow and purple. Girls playing in the oldest competitive division, and they embody this tradition.
I've been playing since I was really small, and I love it. It's like my favorite time of year.
Many players living elsewhere come here to join their First Nation team. The common lessons are teamwork, cooperation, and pride. After a win, Coach Ruby Trudeau from Wikwemikong is emotional.
I really want to say I'm proud of you all.
Because many of her players are in their final year.
We want them to carry that with them in their journey and wherever they go, so that's why it means a lot to me.
But when players graduate, there's plenty to take their place. At the rink next door, some U9 players are taking part in their first LNHL. Here from Brunswick House First Nation, 4 hours north of Sault Ste. Marie.
It's a good tournament and everyone scores and some people don't. Get the puck!
Coach Taylor Tangi played here as a kid, and now she's coaching her own kids along with her father and sister.
They work so hard, and their smiles say it all.
Players supporting one another at all ages, those who played teaching those here now, and a sense of many communities coming together to make one. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Now, this is taking place at hockey rinks across the area, and it's taking place in Stouffville, where you were earlier today.
I was, and you know a thing or two about Stouffville as well. It might be snowing soon in Stouffville also. Some light flurries for tonight. We'll take one more look at the satellite and radar. As this trough moves its way eastward, we will see more people become impacted by the snow. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. Not expecting this to accumulate, but flurries will be flying around there through the evening hours tonight and perhaps into tomorrow morning. A reminder that we do have a risk of some light freezing drizzle, so just watch your step into tomorrow morning. There could be some slippery spots. And then here's another look at the 7-day forecast becoming much milder as we inch closer to the weekend and then slightly below seasonal again for early next week. Nathan and Andrea.
Thank you. Be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for the CTV National News, followed by Raheem Ladani with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all the hardworking people at CTV in front of and behind the camera, thanks for watching and have a good night.